Right. Well, good morning, everybody. I've been given a thumbs up from Emmanuel to start. So thank you for joining us this morning for this webinar, which I've obviously titled, you'll see from the slide, as a business resilience in 2021, change, adapt and access new markets. My name is Neil Webb. I'm a high growth business advisor for SEMLEP. And today I'm going to be joined by a number of colleagues and a client of one of our programs, or two of our programs actually. So we've got Adrian Waters, who's from the Manufacturing Growth Programme. We've got Ray Varnsbury from a company called Classic Cuisine, and we've got Heather Martin from the Department of International Trade, or DIT. And hopefully what you'll get from today is us talking about the various programs that that each of us as an organisation offers. We work very closely together, and actually the support is available across the programs. It's not exclusively to one individual program. So hopefully through our referral processes, we'll be able to introduce you to different partners to access the different support that's available. But as you can see from the slide, I'm from SEMLEP, and I've just got a couple of slides to go through to start with, telling you a bit about SEMLEP and about the Growth Curve program, which is the program that I'm engaged with. And then I'll hand over to Adrian to talk through some of the programs that they offer, and go through from there to Raymond and Heather. So for those of you perhaps don't know very much about SEMLEP, SEMLEP's the South East Midlands Local Enterprise Partnership, and our role is to help economic growth across the South East Midlands. Our area particularly is Northamptonshire, Milton Keynes, Bedford and Bedfordshire, and we're really here to try and support businesses and communities to grow, and particularly we have a growth hub which provides a range of different support for businesses, and there'll be some contact details later on in my presentation for you to contact through, but we offer a range of different support, and we really trying to ensure that we can give you the best opportunity to grow as a business. So the SEMLEP's Growth Hub team can provide you access to assistance with business strategy, access to finance in forms of grants, or referring you through to particular programs where you may be able to access different types of funding, here to support you with business resilience, obviously networking opportunities, and referral process through to innovation programs and helping you as companies to innovate. So kind of a precursor to the Growth Curve program, I guess it's perhaps worthwhile putting in a bit of a picture of SEMLEP as an area in terms of what it does, what the businesses within it do, and you'll see from these statistics that 1 in 25 businesses are created in the South East Midlands, and we've got some good growth rates for jobs, and a lot of companies, so 83,000 businesses within the area. But I think the story, particularly for the Growth Curve program, is that actually we're really good at setting up businesses. We're really good at supporting startups. But actually, we know that once you get beyond the startup stage, you start to look to grow. Perhaps there isn't the same level of support available to you that would be at a startup level, and that's particularly why the Growth Curve program has been introduced, to help companies on that journey from being a startup to a pre-scale up and a scale up, and something that in this country particularly we've not been very good historically at getting companies to scale, and that's why this particular program and others have been introduced to support you through that. So to talk through the Growth Curve program, so I'll try and pull back, join the technology, but the Growth Curve program is a package of support that includes some one-to-one business support from an advisor like myself, or two colleagues, Jacqueline and Gordon, where we do some initial diagnostics on your business to understand a little bit more about what your needs are within the business and what opportunities you have, to try and match you to the various programs across different providers. So not just limited to SEMLEP, but to the universities and to organisations like Heather's and Adrian's, but really to try and understand enough about your business to be able to give you the right kind of tailored support. We then have an opportunity for you to attend a range of masterclasses with various universities. So we have the University of Bedfordshire, the Cranfield University and the University of Northampton, and they're designed to help you on that growth curve journey to help you maximise the opportunities that you have to grow, and to steer you in certain ways, in ways in which you can perhaps look at your business in a slightly different way, and can gain the maximum benefit from the potential grant opportunities that there are through the programme. Once you've completed the programme with going through the masterclasses, there are grant funds available. These range from £1,000 to £25,000 and are split across either capital or revenue opportunities. This is something that you can apply for, like I say, once you've come out the other side, and we can of the masterclasses, and we can support you through that process in terms of applications and support in identifying the kind of projects that perhaps would be suitable for this kind of funding. To be eligible for the programme, you need to have a minimum of 3 employees and up to 250 employees, and you should have an ambition for growth. It's designed to help businesses grow. So we really look for businesses to have a recent history of growth and an ambition and an expectation of growth moving forward, with a projected growth of around 20% plus. As I said at the top, this program is designed to help businesses grow. So we're really looking to engage with businesses with ambition, and we really want to help and support them as best we can. Growth Curve program is running. It's a European funded program. It's running until 2023. So we're still able to capture the opportunity. If once you've kind of listened through the presentations today, if you feel that your business fits within the criteria and it's something that you'd like to take forward in terms of looking at additional support to help you grow, then we'd be absolutely delighted to talk to you. As I kind of go through to my last slide, you'll see my contact details are on there, but if you contact through to the SEMLEP's Growth Hub, then they will be able to signpost you through and make a referral directly through to myself or one of my colleagues. We are region specific, so I'm particularly focused on clients in Northampton. I've got my colleague Jacqueline, who's Northants, and I've got Gordon, who's in Bedfordshire. So, but we'll be able to signpost you through. If you want to contact me directly, if you're not my particular area, then I will signpost you through to my colleagues. So, so hopefully, and I guess time-wise today, you're gonna want to hear much more interesting things from Raymond, I hope, in terms of his experience about the programs that we offer. But just a brief overview of the program, designed for small businesses who are looking to scale, an opportunity to get support from university masterclasses, and I guess what a lot of businesses and people are interested in is actually there's some financial support in there as well, which under current circumstances, I'm sure comes as a welcome opportunity. But hopefully I've given you enough information now, not taking too much time, but perhaps Adrian, do you want to perhaps catch on now and talk about the programs that you offer?
Yes, thank you, Neil.
I'm just going to unshare my screen if I can do that. So I've stopped sharing there for you, Adrian, so it should be all yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Neil, for that introduction, and thank you also to the rest of the SEMLEP team, Emmanuel and Sam and so on, for putting this together. What I'd like to do is provide an introduction really to effectively a case study that I'd like to talk about with Ray later, and how we have engaged with Classic Cuisine Limited, the process that he went through, and hopefully demonstrate the ease and straightforwardness of that process. I know sometimes there can be some concern around the complication around applying for grants and so on. So I very much see my job today as making people realise that it really is very straightforward. So I'm Adrian Waters, and I cover the South East Midlands region of the Manufacturing Growth Programme. What is the Manufacturing Growth Programme? Well, it's a government ERDF funded project across 18 regions of the UK. We're working on gathering more, and more come on board as time goes by. And we're specifically dealing, whilst Neil was talking about businesses, we're talking about dealing with manufacturers, and I'll talk a little bit later about what constitutes the eligibility of being a manufacturer, because it needn't necessarily be an industrial estate with a factory visibly making something. There are all sorts of other ways in which a company can be classified as a manufacturer. So as I say, I'm the dedicated area manager for the SEMLEP region, and I have access to something called the Growthmapper business diagnostic tool, which I use to engage with businesses and find out what their own plans for growth and development are, confirm those and validate those. And I'll talk a little bit later about the Growthmapper tool, and again, the relative straightforwardness of its use. The other great thing about this kind of event is I think it demonstrates the connectivity with SEMLEP and DIT and so on. We very much view ourselves as a signposter for people if we identify opportunities in our engagement, which might benefit the company by engaging with another support party. But I think the primary thing that we're known as, the Manufacturing Growth Programme, and its predecessors, the Manufacturing Advisory Service and the Business Growth Service, is that we provide 33% grants for businesses when they spend up to £10,000 on a business improvement project. And that something that Ray will talk about later from Classic Cuisine is how we've helped them over the years access those funds, and more importantly, what they've done with them. I mentioned Growthmapper. Growthmapper is a business diagnostic tool that has been very, very useful during the last difficult year of pandemic, as we've been able to remotely and digitally engage with businesses, although in normal times we would do it face to face, but it's been a very, very flexible tool to engage with businesses to really get the senior leadership team to benchmark themselves against their own aspirations and with their competitors. And it allows them to get a written printed report on what is the current state of the business as they view it. But I think the most interesting aspect of it is it allows a business to have up to 6 people's within the business view of what the gaps and weaknesses and strengths of the business are, and it allows those to be compared. So there's sometimes when there's a very strong leader within a business who has ideas of what needs to be done, that doesn't always match with what perhaps the other people in the business considers the problems to be. So that leads to some heated discussions sometimes, but nonetheless, I think it's a healthy, useful business diagnostic tool. Just shown there as the output, really, or some of the outputs. I don't want to go into that detail, but there's the radar plot, for example, the sort of top middle page shows across 12 characteristics of the business what the individual scores were of the 6 people in this case who completed this. And it really is, the ultimate objective of it is to get some sort of consensus around what is the key issue of the business, where is it lacking, and can we thereon engage with the business to provide some financial support around a third party coming in to assist with addressing that weakness. So just a quick reminder of the geographical coverage. South East Midlands down there on the bottom right is just one of 18. The most recent that came on board was D2N2, which is Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire. But it's if we take out Scotland and Wales, which is not covered by the programme, it's probably sort of 3/4 of the geographical coverage of the UK or of England rather. And it's been running now in various forms for 20-25 years. So it's a reasonably well entrenched and known aspect of business support. Eligibility, I think, is slightly different, or is slightly different rather, from that mentioned earlier by Neil. we have to operate within fairly tight guidelines, EU guidelines, which most business support that's ERDF funded do, up to 250 employees. But we can go down to sole trader status if necessary, with a turnover equal or less than 50 million euros. And we also look into this overall ownership of applicant businesses to make sure they're not owned by a larger party that takes them over the threshold. I mentioned right at the beginning that we often get involved in the status of what constitutes a manufacturer. And as I said, it's not necessarily a factory, a physical factory. It's a situation where there is if somebody has either designed something or has a brand name and has something manufactured to a particular specification, which may not be by themselves, then that would still constitute a manufacturer. And one of the key elements, of course, is on Companies House, where you have to state a standard industry classification code, of which there are several hundred that are manufacturing related. That is enough to trigger eligibility. So it's always worth talking to me about what the business does and whether it can be successfully classified as a manufacturer and therefore be eligible for the program. But more important than that, really, and as mentioned by Neil, is that there is demonstrable intention to grow and improve the business, either historically or in the form of some sort of robust plan for growth in the future. I mean, that really is what this is, our engagement is there to support. The kind of projects that are eligible for support range from the topics there: strategy, finance, change, leadership, marketing and sales, products and services, people and skills, productivity, continuous improvement and environmental. And under each of those categories, there is anything from 6 to 20 categories of individual type of project. And it's very, very rare that something that constitutes a business support program, a business support initiative rather, cannot be covered by one of those headings. So again, it is always worth checking with me as to whether a project that a company might have in mind is eligible. And I would also say at this point that if there is a very, very firm commitment and desire within a business to undertake a project under one of those 8 headings, the Growthmapper diagnostic is not there, it's not intended to overturn that desire. It's simply there as a means of validating, prioritizing, and maybe for discussion in the future for further projects, because businesses can access more than one project. They can have 2 or 3 in the lifetime of the program. The Manufacturing Growth Programme has been in operation in its present form since 2016. Prior to that, as I said, it was the Manufacturing Advisory Service and then the Business Growth Service, which had been running for some 15 plus years. And just really to give you an idea of the scale of the programme overall, there have been something like, since April, so just over the last year, since April 2019, there have been 2,000 so interventions and £10.5 million of grant committed. So whilst an individual project of up to £10,000 isn't a huge amount, cumulatively over the life of the programme and with the number of businesses that we're engaging with, you know, it's a sizable programme. In terms of turnover of business that we engage with, if you look down on the sort of bottom left and the circular chart, 43% of the businesses that we engage with are micros, so they're less than 10 employees, and that you know tends to often be the lifeblood of the SME community and supply chain. Small, which is 10 to 25, 43%, and medium, which is above 25, is 13%. So it's a fairly, and that doesn't change very much over the life of the programme. That tends to be fairly fairly consistent. In terms of the sectors in which those manufacturers operate, 20% are in engineering. And when we talk to Ray shortly from Classic Cuisine, you'll see that they fall within the 12% that are food and drink. What I would say is that food and drink category within SEMLEP is actually slightly higher. It's 18%. So there's a larger number of food and drink sector companies in the SEMLEP region. The Growthmapper, once all the scores are gathered, scores on the doors from all the various diagnostics that the manufacturers have self-diagnosed themselves under, you can see on the bottom left, the largest number of projects that we're involved in, and it's never less than 40%, is around marketing. And of that, it's digital marketing. So that figure has actually increased quite substantially over the last year as businesses have invested in their digital footprint and digital communication platforms for obvious reasons with the pandemic in terms of how they engage with their customers. And our program can very quickly engage with that and have a fast turnaround of grant support should a business want to improve its digital marketing formats. One of the businesses that we've actually, did a little bit of research yesterday, we've engaged with for longer than any other, certainly in the SEMLEP region, is Classic Cuisine. I personally have dealt with Classic Cuisine now for over 10 years. It describes itself as an innovator, which is always a good flag for us, and it always has described itself as an innovator. It's been doing that for 25 years, innovating. The most recent that I'm aware of is, and in fact, it was a very early adopter of gluten-free aspect to its manufacturing process. I mean, that's going back 3 or 4 years, and it's grown a business within Classic Cuisine, which is gluten-free products. As I say, we worked with them for 15 years, and over that period, there have been, and there may be more. I did a quick sweep last night and could find that we've done 11 business improvement projects with the business and provided 8 grants, which should sort of total broad numbers is around £120,000 of project value and £44,000 of grant committed over that time. The most recent that I engaged with them on was a digital marketing project, which was to enhance and make more robust its digital communication, e-commerce, social media platforms, and so on. Really to adopt an aggressive stance during the pandemic. So rather than be reactive, to be aggressive in terms of how it was going to, nothing could fit better the Classic Cuisine portfolio than building resilience. I mean, that really is a very, very good example of that. I would agree that the scope and specification with the MD of Classic Cuisine use the Growthmapper to validate that as a sensible strategy going forward. And the project, which was started in the Q4 of last year, was a £9,500 project with a third party. And we paid 33% of that 9.5 after 4 months on the project's completion. And we're currently in conversation with Classic Cuisine about a second project, which is specifically around export strategy, which again, I think sort of demonstrates quite nicely the linkage with DIT and a referral network there. And I know that Classic also have a fairly sort of regular dialogue with the Growth Hub and with SEMLEP. So they're a great customer for us, and I hope we've been of some use to them over the time. But the only person that could really confirm that is Ray Varnsbury from Classic Cuisine, who I'd like to introduce to you now, and perhaps confirm that some of the things I've just said are true, Ray.
No, of course I can do, yes. Right, so unfortunately I haven't got a presentation for everyone to look at, so I'm just going to go through my information with yourselves. So my name's Ray. I work as office manager for Classic Cuisine of Northampton Limited. As Adrian says, we're a food manufacturer. We've been operating since 1996. So we started off as business by making main course and starter meal solutions. And in 2008, we purchased a dessert manufacturer. So we consolidated the two businesses together and both onto our site in Northampton, and we're a AA grade certified food production facility. We have 42 employees in total. So obviously fall within the small, medium-sized enterprise. And pre-COVID, our turnover was around 3.75 million the year before. Last year's turnover was affected because obviously our financial year runs August to July, and COVID kicked in come March, and that decimated the whole food and drink industry. So our customers are primarily pub chains, restaurant groups, major wholesalers. So the last 12 months obviously has been a nightmare for all these businesses. Pubs and restaurants have been forced to close or operate reduced hours. So our turnover has dipped. We've been in and out of the office constantly since March last year. We probably had 3 or 4 months where we were actually fully closed in the middle of the year, just work going on the sales that we already had stock in our wholesaler divisions. But obviously the last 12 months and everything that's been going on with the pandemic has forced us to really look at other alternatives. Now, one of these is the growth of online sales, and we see it all around. Everyone's interested in buying things online. No one wants to go shopping anymore, especially with the pandemic. It increased the need for that. So we got in touch with the Growth Hub, and Jiva are always talking about new projects that are available. The communication from the Growth Hub is great. They say anything that comes up that they think may be of interest to us is always communicated with my managing director, who primarily deals with all of this. I'm sort of the background worker. I do all the donkey work and get all the information ready. But Jiva primarily is the lead on this with the Growth Hub. So she obviously has the better relationship with them, but I do all the work in the background. So the Growth Hub came to us, and we had this option of a digital marketing e-commerce project. So as Adrian said, that's what we went for in Q4 of last year. The whole process of dealing with the Growth Hub is a very simplified and easy one. It's not difficult, and of course, if the funding of 33% of under £10,000 project, you don't want it to be too complicated as a business. You want to be able to access the forms, fill them in with the help of the Growth Hub, get the letter of approval fairly quickly, and commence your project. You don't want to be stuck around filling forms in constantly and taking too much time out of the rest of your business. But we have no issues with working with the Growth Hub. It's always worked very well. And previous projects, as Adrian says, we've £44,000 of funding. From what you can see, that's been invaluable to us as a business. For the various projects we do, it helps with our cash flow. It helps as a business to commit you to the projects, because you look at a project and let's say £9,500, especially during a pandemic, is a big outlay for a company like ourselves. We've not been having sales in. Our sales have been dramatically decreased. But obviously, as a business, we see the need. We've always been, as Adrian says, we describe ourselves innovative. We always change. So we always look to change the way we work. And obviously, with the Growth Hub help with these projects that we've accessed, say £44,000 is a lot of money to have helped in funding. And the projects it's helped. It's not just the funding. It's not the money. It's the project itself. The projects itself have either given us increased jobs, or it's allowed us to change our processes, or increase our bring in new process, bring in new machinery, bring in like the online sales bit, which is the new project for ourselves, which the work's commenced, the project's been done, and the actual online launch of these products is due to happen next month. So brilliant help, and it's something that the funding just helps you decide to push you towards going for the project. Like I say, £9,500 becomes £6,000, £3,500 of it comes back to us in a grant. So yes, I would definitely recommend any business looking at the Growth Hub, and even looking at what SEMLEP and the DIT can do, which is what we will be doing going forward with a possible export strategy that we're looking at. So we're speaking to Canada at the moment, and that would be the whole process of international trade we dealt with by DIT shortly. So like I said, the application process is simple. It's not difficult to deal with. Payment of the grant funding is also very simple. Once you've done the project, got the invoices, you've paid the suppliers involved, you collate all the information, just need copies of bank statements and the receipts, the invoice and the payments, send it over, and payments made pretty instantaneous as well. I think it was once we got the project authorised, within a week we received our payments. So again, that also helps. It's great having a funding project and a grant, you know, you get money back. But what you don't want then is you've outlaid the £9,500 or whatever you've outlaid, and then you don't want to delay on getting the grant funding back, because it's the whole point of the funding is that it pushes you towards going for the grants. It's the money that comes to you that pushes you to do that project. So as Adrian says, we're looking at other projects now already, and we're always looking out for other funding options from any of these companies available. And yeah, so the export strategy project is the next one that we're working on, and any help that we can get or funding that we can get through, whether it be SEMLEP, whether it be the Growth Hub, whether it be DIT, we're more than happy to talk to them and try and benefit our business in the long run. I hope that summarises everything our company is about. And obviously there will be, if there's any questions later on, I'm happy to go through them as well.
That's great, Raymond. Thank you for that. That's, I think the important thing, perhaps for the attendees on the call, is actually, you know, the reason we've asked someone to come in who's had experience of the service is actually, you know, to give you an idea from those who've experienced it, exactly how easy it is, you know, how well connected it is, and what the opportunities are. Perhaps with a bit more weight than us as advisors perhaps can do, because we have a vested interest in terms of, you know, wanting you to engage in the programme. And just before I pass on to Heather, I just thought, and Heather and Adrian, I wonder if you've just confirmed this as well, but obviously the support that Raymond's received is free, so it's not something that he's actually paid for, so he's not paid for a consultancy fee with the interactions with SEMLEP and the Growth Hub and so on, and I'm sure that's the same, Adrian and Heather, with your programmes. And I think that's really and part of the reason why we're putting together these webinars and so on is to you know, to introduce the programme, because wherever you can get support, if you're in business, the bottom line is affected by any cost that you have, and if you can reduce that, and then on top of that you can expand on it with grant support, I think it's really important. But sorry to steal your time, Heather. I'll pass over to you, but I just kind of grab that for a second. Over to you.
Wow. Okay, so you can hear me okay? Yep. Oh. Okay, I'm Heather Martin. I'm from Department of International Trade. Great to hear from Raymond, straight from the horse's mouth there. Nothing more powerful than that. So the support that we offer is very similar to what you've heard from both Neil and Adrian, in as much it's free at the point of entry, and the grants that we offer are aimed at all small businesses and sometimes individuals too. So without further ado, let me share my screen and tell you a bit more about the support you can expect from DIT. So DIT stands for Department of International Trade, and our main focus is essentially designed to help businesses access markets abroad, help you to trade internationally. We're represented throughout the world, in fact, and extensively in this country too. But we've got a government organisation set up, that's what we do. And we're all about providing free advice, support and funding to businesses to help them with their export aspirations. Now,
Heather, we can't quite see your presentation, Heather. I don't know if you or I can't, so I don't know if everyone else is the same.
Let me just, there we are. Can you see that now? Yeah?
No, not yet.
Well, I'm sharing my screen.
I can get it, Heather. You carry on, and I'll grab it. One sec.
Sorry, it says on my screen. I'm working across two devices, but it's showing on my screen is sharing it. So I'm assuming you can hear me, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, but you're fine, Heath. We can hear you.
Fine.
That's fine.
Okay, so I'll carry on then. So if we carry on to the next slide then. So we're here to provide support to individuals or businesses throughout the whole the world and definitely in the SEMLEP region. There's 3 strands today that I really wanted to speak to you about for the simple reason these are very topical. And one of which is the SME Brexit Support Fund. This is the slide that's in front of you right now. And this is a very easy £2,000 grant that any business that is already trading between the UK and EU or the UK and Northern Ireland can apply for. And it's really been brought in to help with the operational challenges that have been created by Brexit, if you like. So it's designed to support you with those challenges, overcome those challenges, and you can use them in a variety of ways. Essentially, you can use them to train a member of your own staff or your own team to help with customs, excise and import duties, or you can use it to work with a consultant to manage that on your behalf, or to help you come up with a toolkit or some means of being able to operate it yourself. So it's very easy to apply for. All I would say, you've got to be in it to win it. Just like Adrian's grant with the Manufacturing Growth Programme, you have to apply for it. This particular grant is time limited to the 30th of June, unless unless the funding goes sooner than that. So I would urge you, if you're already trading, if you're already exporting, and you want some help to operate, some help to overcome the challenges that you might be facing by the new rules and regulations, this is one for you. I'm assuming that the slide decks will be sent out later on today, so all of these links on my presentation will be live. So when you get them, if you just click on the apply here link, that'll take you right through to the right page and the right organisation to how to apply. Again, very easy to do, and it's been very popular at the moment. So if you haven't already applied, or you know somebody that this might be applicable to, I would really urge you to act quickly. Next slide, please. The other strand of activity is another grant, again, along the same lines of what Adrian said, is the Internationalisation Fund. So it's a grant funding that's easy to apply for. There is a process that you go through, but you're not left alone to do this. That's what my role and the other ITAs in the area are designed to help you with. And it's a grant that's available for you between £1,000 and £9,000. And this is a 50% match funded grant. So for you to get the £9,000, you'd have to be spending a total project spend of 18k. And again, very flexible. You can use this grant funding to do a variety of activity, but it's all designed to help you with your international ambitions. So a new exporter would perhaps use it to come up with a website strategy, so with an internationalized website strategy, or procuring translation services. There is also funding available to help you with overseas visits once they're established. Obviously, COVID has stopped a lot of overseas market visits, exhibitions, but this kind of, once it's COVID and it's business as usual, there's grant funding that can help you with all of that. All that's required is for you to go through an application process, and that's what our role is, to help you with that. And again, I've put the link in there. The expressions of interest are open. When you get the slide deck later, click on that and you'll be able to register your details, and we can get back in touch with you. The last strand of activity is really the export academies. Businesses, or what we call the accidental exporters. So this might be somebody that receives an order off their website. They put their products in an envelope and then pop them in the post to Germany, France, Greece, wherever. What that demonstrates, obviously, is that there's a demand or a potential demand for your clients, for your products or services. The Export Academy is designed for the new businesses thinking of exporting, or the accidental exporter who wants to scale up that activity. And it's all about building your capabilities to trade internationally helping you to come up with an export procedure or an export action plan. Generally speaking, exporting can work for any business as long as it's data led. And the support that we can offer is helping you to identify where you're likely to be most successful. Have a very good website, which you'll get the link on at the end of this presentation, where you can start that process yourself. You'll be able to go onto the website, find out about the country that you're thinking of going to, and we can look at the real granular of detail. So we can be able to share that information, how many people of a certain age would be interested in your product or services, and you can start making considered and intelligent decisions on where your products or services are most likely to be successful. And it's data led. You're buying into that expertise and that market research. We're the experts in exporting, and we're sharing that knowledge with you at this point free of charge. The Export Academy is a series of online webinars where we look at those different strands of activity on the slide there. Export overview, we talk about the procedures, we'll help you perform your market research, we talk about pricing and distribution, and these are all sort of strands of activity that you're going to need to know about and have an understanding of to bring your export aspirations to life. The link at the bottom is how you would register. All I would say is if you're looking to join the Export Academy, you'd need to join the East Midlands sector. When you go into that registration, there'll be an East Midlands link, and it's that one that you would need to register on. Next slide. Other support you could expect is access to an international trade advisor like me. My job is to sit down, understand about your business, and help you complete an export action plan using our skills, experience, and market research to help you. Have a whole series of webinars in addition to what you've seen there on the Export Academy to help you with customs and VAT. These are all sort of topics that you're going to need to understand to be able to export successfully. And also we have access to export finance. So in the East Midlands, it's Andy Mannix. He's our export that can help. He's our UK export finance contact in the area, because when you start shipping goods and services abroad, ultimately you'll need to get paid, and we can help you and talk through the different options that are available to you. The last slide. That's me. That's where I am. That's where you can contact me. The other resources below that are direct links to the resources that I've spoken about, such as the Export Academy, the DIT internationalisation grant funding, and then the business advice services where you would book your one-to-one with an ITA like myself. Please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. In the East Midlands, we've got a local DIT LinkedIn page, which is aimed at, if you like, local resources, local support for businesses within the East Midlands, which SEMLEP forms part of. And then that's the great.gov UK website. That's where we would start. I'd encourage you to start looking at the support that we offer. That's a great starting space when you're thinking of exporting for the first time. Lots of free resources, and you can actually search on there for market opportunities. So if you've got a product that's ready to export, you could just go on there and simply declare or submit your information and declare that you are ready to export and you are interested in supplying your goods and services overseas. That's me. But the main takeaway point, and as Raymond said, with any of these grant programs, you've got to be in it to win it. We make it as easy for you as we can, and I'd encourage you all to do it. Although I work for DIT, I do this job because I've accessed this support myself, and it gave me an ambition to let more businesses know about the support that's out there that they don't know about. Our job is to make it as easy for you as we can. That's me. Feel free to connect with me. I look forward to meeting you online shortly. That's me done.
Thanks, Heather. That's excellent, and I hope everyone has kind of got a whistle-stop tour through the programs that we've got. But I don't know if we've got some time now. Emmanuel, I'm not sure what time we're scheduled to finish the call. I think it's in about 10 minutes time. But if anyone's got any specific questions they want to put to either myself or Adrian, Heather or Raymond about the kind of support they can access, be happy to spend some time and go through some questions with you. So I don't know if you want to add those questions to the chat. I'm assuming, Emmanuel, we haven't had any so far.
Not yet, Neil.
Okay.
Everyone is able to unmute. We haven't got a huge number, so it'd be quite easy to, if anyone wants to actually speak to us, you're more than welcome to come off of mute and ask away.
Thanks, Sam.
I've got a question for Adrian. How I can contact with yourself, because I'm planning to be a manufacturer and would like to have a bit of more information.
Yep. Sorry, I missed that question. Okay.
Could I have some kind of contact to yourself? Sorry, could I have some kind of contact to yourself so I can send you a message?
Yeah, do you want to take my phone number down or email address if I give it to you?
I think email is going to be easier.
Yeah, okay. It's Adrian, ADRIAN,
yeah.
.waters, WATERS,
yeah.
@EGS.
Yeah.
.live.
Okay, I'll do that later on today.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
I've got something just to share with the audience. When we talk about manufacturing, and Adrian made this very clear in your presentation, when people mention manufacturing, my mind goes to some, like you said, like greasy ball bearing manufacturer, probably in Smethwick, and it isn't. And when I've accessed the manufacturing growth program before, a simplistic way of remembering, and Adrian, you might be able to put some help me with this, is if you make, produce, assemble stuff, potentially you are an export, potentially you are a manufacturer. So make, produce, assemble would generally mean that you are a manufacturer. Is that right, Adrian?
Yeah, and even having simply designed something and having it made is enough. You just have to demonstrate that you have effectively some form of intellectual property, even if that, I don't mean official intellectual property and registration and so on, although that would be great, but you can simply demonstrate in some way that you have a form of ownership of a design, but actually even a brand. So in other words, if you have a sort of clearly identifiable brand and you're having something made by third parties and branded as your brand, that is enough to be a manufacturer. So I can't stress enough that to get away from being a ball bearing manufacturer, although being a ball bearing manufacturer is equally eligible. But it's always worth, I mean, I often have calls from people who will start off the conversation with, I don't expect I'm a manufacturer, but, and after 5 minutes, it's clear that actually they can be classified as a manufacturer.
Does that extend to digital products as well, Adrian, in terms of so the making of apps or virtual reality experiences, those kind of things that were, again, because there's intellectual property involved in that, I'm assuming it's the same.
Yeah, that's an annoyingly grey area.
Okay.
But there are some, yes. It was an awful lot easier with software when it was actually sold as software as a physical product
In a box, yeah.
rather than purely digital as it is now. But there are some, yes, where particularly it's all about being able to demonstrate the intellectual property behind it and its uniqueness, that it's not simply a confabulation of other stuff just bundled together. It actually has some intellectual property behind its creation, whether it's a digital thing or whether it's a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other questions in the chat. Is there anything, Heather or Adrian or even Raymond, that you felt you wanted just to cover off? And thanks, Heather, for your last question to Adrian. But is there anything else that, and Adrian, was there anything that you particularly felt that perhaps wanted to get across to the group before we finish the call?
I think what I'd like to reiterate is that, you know, all like my role and Adrian's role, we want to help. So our position is always to find a way to say yes if we can. We're not there to say no, we can't support. You know, my brief is, how can I help this client be successful in their success? How can they successfully apply for a grant? But I don't want to waste your time. So, you know, my go-to position is to always say yes, but within the rules. So, you know, if I sit down with a business and it's clearly, you know, I can't support them, I'll have that conversation because there's some value in it. But, you know, my go-to position is to always try and say yes. But equally, if it's a no, we'll provide you with an explanation as to why that is. And it's not because we don't like you or we don't like the product, it's because there are rules that we have to follow, but we want to say yes.
I agree with that, actually, Heather, in terms of, you know, I think sometimes there's a perception, particularly when it relates to funding, that that people get a fear that you know, that actually they're on trial with the bank, you know, in terms of a loan and so on. Actually, you know, our processes and our programs are designed to help, and actually the outputs for us, you know, are important, in that, you know, we help as many businesses as we can, as you say, within the rules. So yeah, I'd echo that. You know, I think these programs, and it sounds like across the, you know, the three organisations, we've got similar processes, really trying to understand how a business is structured, how and what they're looking to try and achieve, and then tailor the support that we can kind of give to them. And actually, there's not enough businesses, you know, I feel personally, that know that opportunities out there for them. So you know, to kind of, you know, to cover off at the end of the call, to say, you know, really do, I would encourage you all to get engaged with, you know, one of the programs. We speak with each other, we link with each other, and take the opportunities that's there. You know, there's money that's available to help businesses. Your business could be as good as anybody else's to access that. And as Raymond said, you know, it's about being in the game to kind of to get the benefit from it. And certainly through SEMLEP's Growth Hub, I mean, I believe Sam and Emmanuel will be sending out the slides, as Heather said. But you know, if you want to give a call through to the Growth Hub, or send an email to the Growth Hub, they will signpost to the various organisations. We're not sorry, Sam. So sorry about that. So I think yeah, if you signpost through to the Growth Hub, or to DIT, or to you know, to the Manufacturing Growth Programme, we'll all refer through to each other if you feel there's an appropriate need. So whichever of the slide decks you get that you decide to pick up on and have a conversation, I'm sure if your needs are best met by one of the others as well, then we can refer you through. So please just have a look through more information, do a bit more, and get in touch, I guess, really, and talk to us about what we can offer.